My father did not own the post office. I have 70 years and beyond worth of stories to tell. I was born in 1950 in Greensboro, North Carolina. Today, the world is changing so fast. Everything is moving so quickly. I want to hang on to my stories. I want to share my stories of yesterday. I want to talk about my life today. And I want to share history the way I remember it. Welcome to 70 Years and Beyond. Welcome to 70 Years and Beyond. My name is Wambui Bahati. Now, let me tell you this. Let me get this straight right off the bat. I want you to know this right now. My father did not own the post office. He just looked like he did when he'd walk out the door to go to his mail handling job at the post office. You see, my father was a mail handler at the post office in Greensboro, North Carolina in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and some of the 80s. And my father wore a white shirt and green khaki pants to work every day. Now, when I say a white shirt, I don't mean a creamy white shirt, an off-white shirt, a spotty white shirt, or sometimes white shirt. No, it was a white shirt. It was a white shirt. The shirts were hand-washed and had starch in the collar to make the collar stand up just so. And he wore green khaki pants, and my daddy used to say a well-dressed man has creases in his pants. So he taught me and my sister how to put the creases in those green khaki pants. And we had a bottle with water and it had a little sprinkle top on it. And we would sprinkle water up and down where we were going to put the crease so that when we took the iron, there'd be extra steam to really make those crisp creases stand out. And then sometimes we'd be finished and we'd take those pants to my dad and we'd say, "Dad, we finished, here are your pants." My dad would look at those pants and say, "Nope, try again." You see, my daddy wasn't satisfied until those creases were so sharp that those pants could practically stand up by themselves. So he had his white shirt, his creased green khakis, he put on a belt, had a straw hat for the summer and a fedora for the fall and winter. In the winter, he had a full overcoat that he wore. He just looked so sharp when he walked out the door to go to his job. He just took such pride in how he looked. That's why I say he didn't own the post office, but looking at him, you wouldn't have known that. And he'd walk out that door to go to his 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock shift at the post office. 3 p.m. to 12 midnight was his shift. And he'd walk out that door to go to his job looking all dapper. But let me tell you this, there was no car outside. We wouldn't own a car until 1966, 67, when my sister took driver's ed at school. She was the first person in our family to get a driver's license, and it was after that that we got a car. So for many, many years, when my father got all cleaned up and looked so fresh and nice and smelled so good and walked out that door, he still had to walk 10 blocks to get to his job at the post office. Now, I started thinking about him because I was having a conversation with a friend here in New York a little while ago, and neither one of us smoke. But for some reason, we got on the topic of the price of cigarettes. And my friend was telling me, cigarettes cost $18 a pack here in New York City. And I couldn't believe it. I said, "No, you mean a carton for a carton of cigarettes?" He said, "No, for a pack. You can pay $18 and more sometimes." I said, "No, I don't believe it." I came home, I looked it up, and sure enough, the minimum price for a pack of cigarettes here in New York City is $13. But depending on where you buy them and the brand you buy, there are places that sell cigarettes for $15, $16, $17, $18 plus dollars. And I thought of that. That made me think of my father, because my father was a chain smoker. As a child, I don't recall ever seeing my father without a cigarette in his hand unless he was sleeping or eating. He smoked Camels, Chesterfields, and every now and then Lucky Strike. And I remember those cigarettes costing, okay, I'm going to say a quarter. In the 60s, a pack of cigarettes in Greensboro, North Carolina was 22 cents to a quarter, somewhere around a quarter for the cigarettes. And I was just thinking, oh my God, if my father could see the price of these cigarettes here in New York, he would just have a heart attack right there. Now, I know it's all relative, and the price of $1 then is not the price of $1 now. But that did make me pull out something, though. This is a real copy, the original, the genuine copy of my father's pay stub, one of my father's pay stubs from the post office. And it has his name right there, John L. Washington, and it's dated April 29th, 1960, and his gross pay was $171.22. His take home was $151.17. But wait, this is for 80 hours. This was what my father took home every 2 weeks, $151.17. Now, again, everybody can say, well, the dollar's not the same as it was in the 60s. Definitely not what it is. Can't compare it to the dollar today here in 2026. But still, $151.17 every 2 weeks for a family of 6. At $151.17, this money had to stretch for 6 people over 2 weeks. And, you know, there were some emergencies that would show up and all of that. And so, yeah, $151.17. And what's interesting to me is when I think about it, I think about, well, this is what the post office thought my father was worth. But if you saw my father dressed, leaving the house to go to his post office job, my father knew exactly what his worth was. And it was a lot more than this.
70 years and beyond. Wambui Bahati.